Hi, I'm Ginger Cook. If you're new to my channel, I teach fine acrylic art. I've been an acrylic artist for over 50 years, and I started when no one had ever heard of acrylics, and it was a real struggle even to get galleries to even talk to you about an acrylic painting because they were so into oil. And now most of my friends that are professional artists, we all use acrylics. And what I want to show you today is a technique that I've sort of perfected over the years. And my publishers were always really fond of being able to combine different mediums and getting a 3D effect. I'm going to direct you down to my table here, and you'll see this original painting was 36 by 48. This is a print of it. And if I zoom in for you, I want you to see we've got something. You see here up here, this is actually stucco. This is a product that Liquitex makes. It's called ceramic stucco. They're the only company I know of all the acrylic companies. Nobody else makes this that I'm aware of, all right? I'm aware of. Okay. And so my background around my building is done with this stucco. I mean, and that's sort of the things that's really good for, for that. And then these beams are built up, okay? And then I want you to notice that the flowers, or in this case, just the leaves, are all texturized, right? And they come up in relief. And this is done with a gel. And I'm going to show you today how to, I've got a video already on YouTube on how to do bricks and stucco. We've had that up for a couple years. But now I want to show you today how to stain stucco and also how to use this heavy gloss gel to get some of these different effects, which I think is really kind of cool, okay? So we're going to, before I do that, I want to show you another example of this type of thing. Here I've got you can see I've got some stucco here. You see that, right? And some different medium down here, which we'll talk about later. And then again, this impasto effect on the flowers, all right, in this little scene right here, this European village scene. And that's just sort of what I'm famous for, is doing that. And I'm going to put this out of the way now and show you. This was a photograph I took, gosh, when I went to Europe with my friend Gudrun back in about 1999, I think, or 98 or something. I was running around with a camera and I took this, and I thought it was pretty. It had this old building, it had the brick. So I'm going to show you. So what I've done is I've sort of simplified this. Let me zoom back out a little bit like that. Here you go. Okay. So you can see I've got the stucco, and you see down here I had a little bit of sort of color to it here, but not down here. All right. So what I'm going to need first is I need to stain the stucco, all right? Stucco, in order for the building to look old, it needs to be stained, all right? So the way you do that is you take a mister bottle like this, and I think I'll add a little bit more water to it. I'm a little low on that. If you don't have a fine mister bottle, it's important to get one. Now, one of the things you can do, people always ask me, what about our translucent acrylics? You'll see that a lot. Liquitex will have something called translucent raw umber, translucent this or that. Some colors that are naturally translucent are ultramarine blue, dazzling purple, raw umber, sometimes even burnt umber can have a bit of translucency to it. So the first thing we're going to do is just spray this has been really dry, okay? Spray this, all right, like that. Just spray all that, and just dampen it, because what happens is the stucco is absorbent. Until you varnish it, the stucco is very absorbent. So now and I'll spray down there later. And then you want sort of a, just any kind of large brush will do. Just some sort of large brush, doesn't have a lot of paint on it. And let's see, let's find a brown color. Well, let's just do a little dazzling purple, okay? I'm going to show you that. And you're thinking, wow, that's kind of unusual. Maybe we'll put, what gray's purple? Now, everybody don't jump out and speak at once here. What gray's purple? A little bit of, yellow, because it's opposite on the color wheel, right? Yellow. So we're going to put a little yellow like that. And let's see, I still think I want some ultramarine blue. That's another good color that stains. That's a good one. That's a sort of translucent color. And burnt sienna might be real pretty too. Burnt sienna might be a real pretty color to add to this. Okay, so we've got that. Now they're pretty thick. So what I've got, let's see, I'll take my little water cup here. I think I'll take my stucco away now. You sort of saw that, right? Don't need to keep all that here. And let's move our water bottle and our stuff and just put this up here and add a little bit of water to it. I like to keep a little thing of water right like that. Have a big water bucket next to me, but just for little bits of water, so I'm not leaning all the time back and forth. It's just kind of convenient. Let's put these little brushes down. Now, all right, so I've decided that we've sprayed that, so I'm going to come over here with water on the brush, maybe some ultramarine blue and a little brown, burnt sienna, okay, like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the top of this building, and I want you to see how that this is wicking on here. Isn't that interesting? I mean, we can even zoom a little more. Let's just pull this down and zoom in as much as we can. See, John got me this new zoom thing. It's cool, isn't it? Can zoom in. I have my own control of the zoom, like I did on the other camera. I'm going to come over here and do something similar. Now, what you may not know is, I mean, that's pretty, right? That's this old building. I mean, look at the photo. See how old and it is. Now, the thing you may not know is that it dries darker. So what you can do is you can hold the camera up like this, or rather, so hold the canvas, not the camera. Now, you can cause some drips. If you were doing this on an easel, you can cause it to drip like this. See? I've got it flat, but you can cause it to drip. And if it's dripping, now you can do another layer like this. Just let's do another layer, because this will dry lighter. Acrylics dry darker, except on stucco, where it dries lighter. Now I'm going to just do a little bit of that burnt sienna like that, here like this. And I can see where, if I came to, I don't want all of it covered. That's the thing. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing. But I might want something a little more, like right down here, where it might puddle, like here, like up here, like this. All right. I'm going to show you that. Just this. All right. Just where it's going to stay. And I'm going to say it's kind of, there's going to be a log across here. All right. I'm going to put a log across there, and in order for that log to work, now I want this to be up here first. So I'm going to say that sort of splashing. Maybe I want to have it kind of darker on the sides of the canvas, because I want to bring your eye in. So maybe I'll just kind of just stain over this. Just imagine, you watercolor artists, it really acts like paper, okay? That's what's so cool about it. I might come up here, do a little bit darker, bring something down here like that. Maybe follow a line here like that. You can cause a drip, or you can do that. And I like these two colors. Let me show you a little Dazzling purple. That's a little darker. Let's see if we came up here like that with some purple. That could be pretty. You could also stain under the window here like this, or where some of the stucco is. Maybe you want on the brick. You could stain. You can glaze over some of your other stuff too. It just doesn't have to be this. But let's just say we've got a little bit darker right in here like that. And remember, it's going to dry. It's going to dry lighter than what I show you. All right. So again, suddenly we've transformed this pretty ordinary looking wall just by staining it. We haven't done much of anything else. And okay, and then I'm going to say that these windows are a little bright, so I'm just going to take the same color and just stain over these white windows. They're a little bit too much here, so I'm just going to color those back so that you don't see that. They're still there, but we've just sort of glazed. It's called glazing. We've glazed over them like that. Okay, so now let's zoom back out of our picture here. Now, what a difference that made on that wall, didn't it? Just glazing it. Now, we haven't even begun to talk about what we can do with this, but again, try not to overdo it, but I usually want it darker. You want it darker at the top of your canvas because it brings your eye down. All right, that's the whole purpose of doing this. And see, I've left some of this all alone. Now, what about underneath here? I want this darker down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to spray it. Here's some stucco down here. And I think I'm going to try a little Dazzling purple and ultramarine blue, and a tiny bit of yellow with it. Kind of brown that up. And I'm just going to say that I want this darker down here. Here's this purple color. And do I like that? Maybe it's too purple. Let's put a little brown with it. Maybe we got a little carried away. Now, what if you got too much? I mean, here I am just happily staining this. And even though I understand intellectually that it will dry lighter, okay? I feel like I've got a little bit too much purple, a little bit brown. What you can do, now this is kind of important, what you can do is you can take a paper towel and you can mop some up while it's still wet. Because remember, this is wicking. So what I would do is just spray it like this, take a little paper towel, and just mop some up so it's not quite so in your face. See, I've darkened it here, but maybe I just got a little carried away with the purple. And it's good to know that. And also, when it dries, you can do a second coat. Until the acrylic's plastic, so until the plastic sort of fills up. Here, let's put a little more of this brown in here. I think that looks a little better. I think the brown probably is probably more appropriate to the darker color down here in this picture. Okay, so there this is. That's kind of pretty. And then, do I want any of this color anywhere else? Maybe I'll put a little of this purple color up here on the top. Let me just show you, because I want to kind of tie the picture in, right? There, here on this edge. Let's just darken this edge. Force the eye in toward the center. Okay, so that's our stucco on this. Now we're going to take a minute, and I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer, all right? And this has to be really dry to do our next steps, okay? That's real important, really dry to do our next steps. So we're going to dry this, but that's exactly how we're doing, that's how we're glazing the stucco down. And then, and you can do this on so many of your, walls, street scenes, and so forth. This is just like the best trick ever. So I'm going to take my hair dryer now and dry this. Okay, so now it's pretty dry. I would recommend, you saw how the water wanted to go everywhere when I was drying it with the hairdryer. I would probably recommend just letting it dry by itself naturally. That would be the best, and come back to it. That would probably be the most effective, because if we're going to do anything else to that, we might want that to happen. And but I think this is fine for now. Now suppose, because this wicks, if you were to paint on, this is going to wick. The paint's going to kind of spread out and diffuse. So if you wanted to, say, put a sign on here like old hotel or something, you would then varnish it, all right? Varnish it and let the varnish dry, and then, because that would seal this, and then go ahead and paint your next layers. That's one of the tricks you can do, is just varnish it. But you shouldn't varnish it until this has had a chance to thoroughly dry. If you're going to do that, because this is stucco, it's thick, the paint's gone in there and it's still wet. I would let it dry for a day or so before I got too carried away with that. But I think we're okay for our next step from what we want to do. And one thing we can do is, let's see, I'm going to take a little artist tape. I'm going to show you a little trick. I sort of wanted some sort of little window ledge here. Okay, I wanted a little window ledge here, so I want one right here. So I'm going to put this down here like that, and I'm going to I want a little window ledge underneath here, okay? Even though it wasn't in the photograph, all right? Now, I'm going to take a palette knife and squish this down. Now, my canvas is maybe still wet, so it may not want to be as if, the tape may not want to hold, but we're going to just say, put that off at a little angle like that. We're going to say this is our window box. I'm trying to think, do I want it kind of like this, I think, under this window. Maybe I'll just do it straight. I was going to curve it, but I think I want it straight. That seems to be holding. All right. I'm going to say here, I have a little window box here. Okay. This is an example like that, as long as I'm doing it, one little window box. And then down here in front of this window, I want, way down here, I want a a big beam. All right, and this is artist tape. We have other examples of how to use that on our website too, and also on our YouTube channel. Okay, so let's see, I want this fairly thick beam like that. Now I'm saying this is my beam, which is like that. Let me just tear that piece of tape off here. Now, squish this down like this. I want this to go all the way across, like that. And I want to make sure I've got this squished down here. I think the term for that is burnishing, the proper term, but we're going to go with squished. That works for me. Just let's move the water out of the way. We don't need this right now. And what we need is some solid gloss gel. All right, that's what we want, some solid gloss gel. We've got this by Golden. See, this one is, oh, I didn't get that sealed right. Well, next jar here, okay? That one's no good. Where's my other one? Okay, here we go. Now, solid gloss, heavy gloss gel. That I bought in 2005, so if that other one was from 2005, I always date these things, so I know, so I'm never too disappointed. I mean, this stuff isn't like, honey, it doesn't last for centuries. At some point you've got to use it up. All right, so there's my gel. You see that? I put that out. Now, I want to find some burnt umber. So one of my next little things I've got, let's find some burnt umber here. Here's my photo. I want you to just see the photo. You see what a difference that makes. I mean, and I didn't want quite as dark as this, but I wanted the feeling of the old wall, and I think we're getting that. And let's see, where's some, I have a big tube of burnt umber somewhere, a small tube. I know I do. Just, well, here it is. Okay, so here's my burnt umber. I'll put some of that right here like that. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'll just use the same palette knife. I'm going to take a little of this, not use all of it. I'm going to scrape some of this and move it over here. Let's just do all of this out of the way like that, so you can really kind of see what I'm doing here. All right, now let's take just some of this up here, just a little bit of this gel. Let's grab some burnt umber and mix it in. See what I'm doing? Okay. Now I'm going to add a tiny bit of the blue and the burnt sienna, and I put some in there, just sort of maybe a little tiny bit of this yellow. Kind of comb it through, but not mix it. All right. Now, okay. So now what we need is we need a nifty palette knife. All right. So now I'm going to take my palette knife like this right now. Okay. I'm going to just sort of pull it forward like this. All right. And I'm going to come up here over the tape, okay, like this. All right, and I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to just leave it in relief. I want it fairly thick, okay. Now, let's take some actual burnt sienna and put it on top, make some highlights. This is like cake decorating stuff, you guys. You should be great at this. Make sure you cover all the tape like that. Here's the gel. There we go. Now, all right, so we're going to leave that one alone, and let's do the bottom one, okay? So I think I like that, and I think this is all burnished down. I'll just scrape off the excess gel from here, and just come up like this. Maybe put a little bit more blue in it, make it darker. A little more purple in this. I want a dark beam. You can go about up to 50% gel to paint, all right? Let's just use all the rest of these colors in here like that. There. Now I'm going to come under here like this. Okay, now you might not want purple. You just might want brown and, different browns, Just, I happen to have the purple out and paid for it, and I'm going to use it, okay? How's that? Does that sound reasonable to you? Okay, so don't go over the tape. Make sure you're not going over it. Make sure that it's just nice and thick. You might want a smaller palette knife for this too. This is all sticky and like trying to spread peanut butter. Okay. Now, let's see. Scrape it off and then scrape the rest of this up. You can save it if you end up mixing too much. If you have a spare jar, you can save it And if you think you're going to be using a lot of browns and stuff, this is or greens for plants, okay? So here we go. Now I just kind of want to fill it in here under the window. I'm going to pull some of this way. Where's that? Here, let's just use this one. It's going to come all the way this way. All right, and then I don't want it flat. Now I'm trying to make like a beam, so I want sort of textured here. Okay, definitely don't want it flat. So I'm just going to use up all the rest of this gel. The gel dries clear if you don't color it. Someone's going to ask that. The gel dries clear if you don't color it. I think I'd like some orange in that gel and that here. So how would I do that? Well, I think I'd like it. You know, I had a little bit of that yellow up here and that brown. I don't think I have enough of that paint. If I just a very gently, well, a little bit of that. Look at that. Let's see, that's that burnt sienna color. What did I do with the tube for that? That's right here. I could put a little more burnt sienna out. See, I want it darker underneath, and I could take a little of this and just kind of, you know, brush a little of this on top. Like that. There we go. Kind of make it two-dimensional as opposed to just one flat color. Okay, this is how we're doing our beam in front of the window. So make sure you go all the way off the canvas like that. Okay. Now, now what? Well, let me just show you what happens if I take this off. See, I've got this neat little windowsill right here. You can see that right there. Let's see, I didn't get as much gel as I want. Right here, I'm missing a little bit of gel right here. So I'm just going to come back with a brush and add a bit more because I didn't get it as thick right here. But there we go. You can move it, okay, like that. Here's our little window ledge right there in relief. And then let's see, I want to make sure I've got this pretty much the way I want it, okay. I'm going to pull this off. This has to dry for 24 hours, all right, before you do anything else. This is all you get to do now. So you're doing this dries for 24. Here's our tape goes right into the trash, okay. So our tape. Now look what happens here. Here we go. And there's our textured beam. I mean, how absolutely cool is that, okay? I mean, just absolutely marvelous. Great trick. And again, it's not hard to do. It just takes a little patience. This is all layered. You can kind of see my picture here from where this was. And now when I do flowers on here, when I go ahead and do flowers on here, they'll come and they'll be in relief over this, right? Using my gels and stuff. Now, the best example we have of that is if you go up onto our village piece on YouTube, you'll see where we have these flowers in relief on our little hotel. This is our little village series. We have like, I think, John, how many pictures do we have in the village? I'm trying to think. I think he just left the room. I don't know. I think we have like 4 sets of these, of 2 each. And they're all different. And you can kind of stand them up like this in relief. But the texture of how to put the flowers on is, I show you in this video here on YouTube. And also you can, get that entire series. It's really fun. But I think this is a great example of how you would put, flowers and stuff and come down. Now, I might do a few flowers as long as I've got the gel out. Now, I can do this as long as I leave this stuff alone. So, okay, I've got the gel out anyway. Why don't I just do a couple flowers and show you real quick how we might do some greenery coming down over something here. Best if it's dry, but we'll do a little of that just so you can see how we're doing it. We got to get a little bit more of our heavy gloss gel out, but you could use modeling paste. You could use a matte if you didn't like the gloss. Here's a little bit more gloss here like that. Pull some of that out like that. You wouldn't have to use any of the rest of this. Now let's see, we probably want some sort of green. So we would start with burnt umber and maybe phthalo blue. We got a little ultramarine blue out anyway, so a little bit of that, a little bit of purple. Let's go with yellow oxide. And I think I had some, let's see, we want the burnt umber, which is right. It's extraordinary how we can be talking and the burnt umber, I don't know where the burnt umber is. I better put some white out too. I know I'm going to want that, right? I'm going to show you that. Great little trick. Now let's see. What else do we need? Yeah, we need the burnt umber. Good plan. We need a little brush to put the stuff on with. That would be good. And you don't need a big palette knife. A little one would have been handy. And let's see, burnt umber. Well, I know I just had out that giant big brown tube of it, so you can't have gone far. Okay, so let's see, where did we put it? Oh, you know, here's a trick. Here's the tube upside down. If it's in my bin, I don't see it like that. If I put some brown on the back of that, I would have seen it, all right? Just saying, you know, you should paint the back of all your paint tubes. Otherwise, you run into this kind of problem. You can't figure out what you just did. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of blue and a yellow oxide and a little bit of burnt umber. And I'm going to mix a little dark green. Let's take some of that ultramarine blue too. And maybe a little purple. Not red and blue or purple, so that will certainly darken this green. Rest of this brown. Now I'm going to take, this is a little bit of a, kind of a spoiled part of that. Let's take this, like this, and let's make a first bit of dark green leaves, okay? In fact, I will put this away and use this palette knife to mix that. All right, so now I'm kind of squishing, see that? I'm going to mix all these colors. There we go, there's my dark green. That's very nice, and I don't have to mix it any more than that. The trick is I have to keep my hand out of this. So this is why better to do this the next day than fool around. Now I'm going to take my little brush like this, and I'm going to say I want some greenery coming down. Well, you know, maybe from the top, maybe from down here, maybe I want some greenery. Well, all right, let's just have some greenery coming down over the top of this window like this. We're going to put it in relief like that. We'll start at the top and say that it's coming down from maybe a balcony above this window. I'm going to put that like this. You know what would be good, John, if I could show them that original piece of the village that has all this stuff on it. Let's move this down a little bit so you can see it. Okay, right up here like that. You know the one I'm talking about with the it's the village with the street and everything. It's like the 12-part video that we have, the video lesson. I'd like to show that. It's on the wall, I think, in Studio A. Okay. All right, you see that. So I like this, and I might bring some of this down here. I don't want to lose all my nice, you know, stucco stuff here, but I might say that there's some sort of plant coming down here like that. And for sure there might be some coming over my windowsill. Now, normally you would want this very dry, but because I've got, I might just put something right here like that coming over my ledge here. You would want that ledge dry first before you did it, but I'm going to be very careful. Okay, like that. And I'm going to say that there's maybe a plant coming down here like this. Okay, now I'm out. Do you see that? I'm out. So now I'm scooping up some more, putting it on here and dropping it. A little tiny brush, a little ruby satin silver brush. If you haven't seen the video on Can Your Brush Do This, I highly recommend it. I just completed that. Should be up before this one. We're on vacation and I'm just releasing these, something fun to do instead of our live classes. Okay, here's that. Maybe we got a little pot that's up here. I could have even put a little pot here, but I'm just going to say that there's something growing up here like this. Okay, like that in the window, right? Now already we've just put our fingers in the gel. You got to be really careful if you don't let this dry, okay? So already we've said that that's something. Now, could I want more down here? Maybe, but maybe I'll just bring this. Sometimes you can, you know, you can overdo things and just let something go, okay? Let something go. Now, okay, well, I'm just going to stop here for a second. I want you guys to see this. This is really cool. Check out this painting. Do you see how? Do you see all the stucco Let me just move this. I can put it flat down like this. Move this out of the way. Now, all right, so this is a lesson. It's called, what do we call this? The Village Street, I think, and we've got it for sale in our store. It's a lot of different videos. There's all these different stuccos. There's flowers up here like we did. There's different texture down here. It's a whole video on how to do this over on gingercooklive.gallery. And it's really cool how you can make all this stuff work and using these techniques of building up all these layers on your painting. This is a really cool video. I'm just going to highly recommend checking us out on that. That's a good one to learn to do. Now, all right, so we're back to this. You see what, now I'm going to add some white to my green. All right, and I want some yellow. All right, so I'm going to take some yellow, cad yellow medium, okay? I'm going to add some cad yellow to this. And I'm going to lighten up this green here, okay, like that. A little bit of brown, it's still light, there's a little bit of brown in it. Now, red, grays, green. Now I'm going to come up here on top of this and add the highlights, like this, barely touch it. Might do this when it's dry too. You might come back when it's dry. You don't have to do it when it's wet if you're having problems, because you have to be so careful. I want this slightly lighter, so I'm going to add more white to this. All right. Now, that's my contrast here, like that. Like that. There you go. But say the lights on, the lighter leaves are on top. The darker leaves are on the bottom. That's real important. Lighter the leaves, they'd be on top where the light might be shining. Like that. Maybe here's a couple of little light leaves, like that. Let me zoom in. I think that would be helpful. So if you want to come back the next day and add the light highlights, you can still maneuver some of this around like this. I'm just going to do it now for you, show you how you might put a few. The same thing up here. Let's just zoom back down. Now, I'm not going to do any flowers on this. If I were going to do flowers, I would definitely let this dry the next day before I tried to do that. Maybe I've got a few little lighter ones, lighter flowers coming down, little lighter leaves coming down like that in the window. Sort of bring your eye down. Now, if I zoom back out and you see the painting the wrong way, but you can see how thick it is. Let me zoom back out. Now, you see suddenly we've got something kind of cool. Now, part of me wants to put some of this greenery over here. I just feel like I need some green coming off at the bottom of this window too. Just going to come back into my palette, and maybe I want, just from balance, I want a little bit of greenery coming up here on the window, make this more interesting. So sort of an interesting step on what you do, how you can build a painting up from something like this, which is, okay, but what can you do to make it more interesting? I think, something on here would have been very nice too. Maybe a hotel sign, something like that. All kinds of things you can do. But in this demonstration, I think what we've done here, I think it's a very good demonstration on how you might use the combination of gels and stucco to build up a 3D effect in your painting. And again, if you're going to come over this beam, let that beam dry and then bring your gels over it. So I won't do that. Now we've got a little bit lighter here. Let me just get some lighter colors. Now, here, I'm going to just put some yellow out here like this. Okay, now I've got some lighter yellow, lighter white. This stuff is sticky. It goes everywhere. Okay, fun. It's on my clothes. I love it. Well, okay. So, where's white? White, white, white. All right, I want a lighter green down here. Okay. And then it depends on the flowers I was going to put in too. I'm going to put some flowers in. I mean, how interesting I'm going to make this. Okay, here's my light green. Here we go. So I'm going to add a few little light green bits right here. Might be coming through the window like that. A little bit different, just a little bit like that. Something green, light green. And zooming in like that, okay? So that can be climbing, and your leaves should get smaller as they go up. And a lighter part like this, maybe you've got something light coming over the top of this beam. But again, this beam is too soft to touch now. If I want to bring those leaves over, I've got to wait till that dries. If I want any of this lighter color up here, that's my next light color. A little bit of white and yellow over this green. Maybe in a couple places. I'll add a touch of light leaves. Don't overdo it, you know. And this can be really, really effective. Here's a little bit of red. I'm going to put that out and maybe, remember, red grays green, guys. Remember that? So if you do red and you do a little yellow and make kind of an orange color, all right, like that. Now I've got this sort of more of a rust kind of yellow-green color, and that might be just in a couple places, might be a nice color surprise somewhere, a little bit, just somewhere here like that. Just something. I mean, not every plant's so perfect, at least not in my house. All right, so there we go. So that's something like that can be very effective. Let's zoom it back out. All right. All right, now that's a big transformation, isn't it? And again, you can see how the stucco's drying lighter all the time. That stucco was drying lighter. And if I wanted that stucco, I haven't glazed it. I haven't done anything as far as sealed it. So if I wanted it darker again, can I make it still darker? Probably shouldn't do it until this is dry, but could you come back over with some brown and, you know, just come down from the top and, you know, make it a little darker again? Could you put some shadows even in from the plants? Yeah, you can. You can come down from the top. I'm getting a little bit of that burnt umber now. Now look, I've just got a little burnt umber here. I'm just going to come down from the top and, you know, say that I want this building a little bit darker here, down like that. So again, you can go over the stucco. Here it is. I told you I wanted it a little bit darker here where it might have splashed up on this beam. And if that doesn't show up, you can certainly do it again. And probably would get some flowers coming down here like that. That would be one of my plans. Maybe have some pretty flowers. Very interesting way to take a simple photograph like this and create, I don't know, I think kind of an interesting painting. And at some point I would probably bring some of this green over here and even maybe down into here too. Might want to do it. So again, this is how you do it. And there's lots of different videos on YouTube on showing you that I have on YouTube to show you these different techniques, and certainly on our website, gingercooklive.gallery. And I want you to see, can you see now when I zoom in on this, can you see now how I've brought these leaves down all over the beam? See the beams now? See the beams that I put in here? See how I've brought these flowers over the top of the beams, right? And down here, and how the stucco is all, you know, stained and everything. This is how a painting like that is created. And you know, I think it's kind of cool, and I think that they're really pretty. People love seeing this, and it's a fun thing to do with your gels. If you haven't tried it, I'm going to recommend you try this. And check us out on our website, gingercooklive.gallery, and be sure to join us for our live classes. Normally we're live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We just happen to be on vacation the week we are airing this. So there was no live class this week, but normally there would be a live class. So thanks very much for watching. And I'll tell you what, next time you see me on a live class, I will have added some flowers to this and maybe done something to this to show you how I finish the picture. So stay tuned.